Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is Mace coming to you right now from Western Canada. I'm in British Columbia. And yeah, it's a great day. Hope everyone's doing amazing. Let's check out this video. American foods that are banned in other countries. When I think of this, I think of probably just horrible bread. You know, Europe. In Europe, Germany, like, the bread is a big deal. Having, like, really, really high quality bread. It's a huge staple in the diet over there, and the variety of bread, the different types of bread. It's a real part of a meal, and it's like a lot more healthy. A lot of this, you know, the highly processed North American bread. I think of Subway, which I think Subway sandwiches or Subway's bread is classified as like cake, I think, in certain European countries. Like, it's not even classified as bread because the ingredients of it. So it looks like they're pulling a turkey out of the oven. Let's get into it.
Most Americans want to believe that the United States is the gold standard of clean food. But that belief
that couldn't be farther from the truth, could it?
may not hold up to scrutiny. From unsanitary practices in mass production to the addition of dangerous chemicals, countries have good
Never watch How It's Made on how they make hot dogs.
reason to give the side eye to imported foods claiming to be USDA approved. That's right, this week we're talking about American foods that have been banned by other countries. But before we get started, be sure to
Twinkies in the
subscribe
apocalypse.
to the Weird History Food channel. Then leave a comment and tell us what other world food facts you would like to know more about. Now let's see how wrong the rest of the
I always
world
thought,
really is.
oh, it is Jason Momoa. Skittles.
Since the dawn of Skittles, there have been rumors about the dangers of eating them. Every one of us heard at least one classmate claim that the red ones make you sterile, and the yellow ones, they give you cancer. Turns out, it might be worse than that. First of all,
Damn.
your classmate wasn't wrong. The dyes known as Yellow 5 and Yellow 6 have been linked to hives and hyperactivity in children. Sweden and Norway have
I used to eat a lot of Skittles when I was little.
banned the candies out of concern. The European Union will most likely be banning Skittles at the end of the year, having already swapped out some of the dye
When
for
did this
more
video come
natural
out?
flavors.
2022?
This is because of something called titanium dioxide, which can be found making the colors pop across the rainbow. Research linked titanium dioxide to damaged DNA.
Titanium dioxide, like just the name itself, it doesn't sound like it would be the best ingredient.
Which can lead to cancer. While Europe may be ahead of the Skittles awareness curve, America is quickly catching up. In May of 2021, the Environmental Working Group asked the FDA to categorize titanium dioxide as toxic. And yes, before you ask, right now the FDA says it's okay to consume some of that chemical compound. You can taste the rainbow, but just in moderation. California is home to an ongoing lawsuit against Mars Inc., the parent company of Skittles. The lawsuit claims Skittles are not only toxic, but are unfit for human consumption. So maybe for now, play
Damn,
it safe.
I didn't know it
Just
was-
go have some Swedish fish instead.
The things we don't know. Uh-oh, here we go. This is what I was expecting.
Ever looked at a piece of crusty French baguette, be it in cartoon or in real life, but let's be honest, it was probably in the hands of Pepe Le Pew, and think, I can't make a sandwich with that? As great as we talk about the invention of sliced bread, a lot of European
Should be crusty on the outside. Like,
countries have actually banned much of what you'd find on America's wide grocer shelves. That's because we make a lot of our bread not just with grain, but with a variety snap packs worth of additives, like azodicarbonamide, for example, which helps bleach
Azodicarbonamide.
flour and strengthen dough. Fun fact about azodicarbonamide, it's also used in a spectrum of industrial products, including yoga mats. Downward
let's not feed our people yoga mats.
dogs. The European Union is really against the idea of its citizens eating yoga mat material and has banned their use in food products. Pork, the other white meat, is a staple of American meats along with chicken, fish, and beef. From bacon to ham, hot dogs to pork chops. American meat eaters consume about 67 pounds
You're telling me Europeans aren't eating bacon?
of
Give me
pig
a
per
break.
person every year. Soo-wee. My heart is stopping. Don't get us
Studio.
wrong. Other nations indulge in swine just as much, if not more, than Americans. So why doesn't the U.S. export scores of succulent bacon-bearing boars? Well, it turns out America adds a lot of chemicals
Farming?
during processing. Ractopamine in particular is used in many pig farms to raise porkier
Ractopamine.
porkers. Ractopamine, which we put a dash of in a lot of food,
So it's making super pigs. Do you ever see that movie? What was that movie called? They put the pig.
has been banned in 160 countries,
The Netflix film. It's actually really good.
which all consider the drug unsafe for human consumption. This in turn has led to a prohibition of pork exports across the world. The EU hasn't touched the stuff since outlawing.
Let's see what that movie was called because it's bugging me. Super pig movie. Okja. Yeah, that's a good one. Okja. 2017 science fiction fantasy film directed by Bong Joon-ho. The film was about a young girl who raised a genetically modified super pig, and after she's taken to the United States, goes on a mission to rescue her from mistreatment at the hands of the meat industry. It's a great movie.
Ractopamine in 2009. China and Russia have been ractopamine-less since 2013. Maybe that's because ractopamine has the same effects as an intoxicant on humans and can cause tachycardia, headaches, and muscle spasms if consumed in large enough quantities. But it is a small price to pay for a perfect piece of the pork. Hygiene in America often comes down to dousing stuff in a chlorine bath and calling it FDA approved, and chicken is no exception. Pathogen reduction treatments, or PRTs,
Pathogen reduction treatment.
refer to the
Sounds
use
like
of
something
different
George
chemicals
Carlin
to
would
destroy
say.
harmful microbes on raw meat. Somewhere along the line, American food regulators decided a quick chlorine shock was the best way to kill salmonella and other bacteria on uncooked poultry. Chlorine marinade. And look, it's not that the EU is against taking a long gulp from the public pool now and then. In fact, the risks posed by chlorine consumption are relatively low. The bigger concern is that the chlorine baths are just an eye-burning band-aid on a larger problem. The tip of the beak, so to speak. They're worried that the PRTs are insufficient to deal with more than just the normal bacteria and don't get at a potential contamination from things like low-quality feed to unsanitary coops on farms. The EU called the chlorine rinse an easy fix, arguing no chemical rinse will ever remove all bacteria from meat heavily contaminated as a result of poor hygiene. That hurts extra to hear it from the French. Mountain Dew is the closest any soft drink has come to being fully weaponized. But did you know in Austria
Never
and
drank
Norway
Mountain
the
Dew.
soda is outright banned? That's because Mountain Dew's signature Chernobyl radiant hue comes from tartrazine, also known as yellow 5. And if your ADHD hasn't kicked in yet, you'll remember that color and number from the Skittles section earlier. It's been linked to headaches, hyperactivity, and the desire to be annoying to other people. Ironically, the qualities that make Mountain Dew a soda non gratis in other countries is exactly what the brand promotes.
Persona non
Frenetic,
gratis.
over-caffeinated lifestyle. Do the do. Baja Blast. Woohoo. And while you might be able to find
Isn't it like a lot of gamers? It's like, yeah, Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew in Europe, it's going to hit a little different. That's because Europe spent exactly 2 years in the 90s riding the dew before discontinuing it. What is being sold as Mountain Dew in the EU has a recipe closer to the original carbonated beverage, as created by Tennessee beverage bottlers Barney and Ollie Hartman in the 1940s. The original Mountain Dew was meant as a whiskey mixer, with the name coming from the affectionate Scottish term for moonshine. It'll tickle your innards, is what the old ads used to read. No lies detected here.
Yahoo! Mountain Dew!
Snack cakes.
Little Debbie has
Never
been
had one of
providing
those either.
Americans with comfort snack food since the 1960s. With their variety of zebra cakes, star crunches, nutty bars, fudge rounds, and cosmic brownies. But their big claim to fame, as anyone who has ever had their lunch packed by a parent can attest, is the Little Debbie Swiss Rolls, a mixture of rich chocolate cake and butter-creamy filling. Over 900 million cartons of Little Debbie products are shipped each year, but none of those cartons go anywhere near Austria or Norway. Blame those rascally additives, yellow 5 and red 4.
I mean, just Austria and Norway. Everybody else is still importing it.
Swiss rolls contain
Everything?
32 milligrams of dye per product, and in those quantities, they've been shown to have an adverse effect on children. And we're not just talking about causing hyperactivity, although one study found that cutting all artificial food coloring from diets may be 1/2 as effective as prescribing kids Ritalin. And while we can't prove there's a direct connection between artificial food coloring and cancer, they do cause damage to white blood cells, causing them to mutate after only 3 hours. Exposure to these dyes could cause tumor cells to multiply way more rapidly. For that reason,
How is this even possible?
researchers say
If, like-
a high chronic intake of food colorings throughout the entire life is not advisable. If only they weren't so delicious. Surprisingly, you can buy Little Debbie's Swiss rolls in the EU, but they come with warning labels advising parents of the potential dangers to kids. You know, like cigarettes.
Not Special K.
When you hear the words banned breakfast cereal, you're probably imagining one of the
Wait, there's an Oreo breakfast
countless
cereal?
kid-focused brands of sugary morsels, like
I used to really like Captain Crunch when I was little.
the oh-so-delicious Cookie Crisp. So you might be surprised to learn that it's actually Special K, the most boring cereal on all of the earth, that has been banned in Denmark and discouraged in the EU. How does the healthiest box of flakes on the shelf get banned, while stuff like Reese's Puffs and Cinnamon Toast Crunch continue to enjoy free passage? Ironically, because of its supposed health benefits. In the UK, Special K has been you may want to stick with Crunch Berries.
Is it those types of videos where it's like, what do I eat then? It's like anything, literally everything is bad for you. You can't eat anything. Everything in moderation, I think, is the key.
You don't need to take a transcontinental flight to visit countries that have banned American foods. Just drive up to the Canadian border, flash your passport, and sign an affidavit saying you're not smuggling any steak tartare in your trunk. Today, consuming raw meat has fallen out of fashion in the US, much like other foods like veal and pate, which don't make you sick but might make you sad. But while baby cow and overstuffed goose liver is illegal in parts of America now, tartare is not. See, while veal and pate may be uncool, they are also served hot, unlike tartare, which is chopped up cold meat, straight from the cow. Undercooked or raw foods can lead to an increase in food poisoning and parasitic infections, especially in beef and poultry. But considering how fancy pants steak tartare is, Titanic food one might
Is this
say,
cooked?
you'd think countries might look the other way and let the luxury delicacy slide. And for a long time they did. In Canada, meat has to reach an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit, the equivalent of a medium rare steak, in order to be considered safe to serve. But those rules aren't strictly enforced. That is, until recently. In 2021, restaurant owners in New Brunswick selling steak tartare were all served cease and desist letters. Canadian public health officials had decided that amid the ongoing health crisis of COVID-19, the last thing their citizens needed was a side order of botulism.
The kingpin of them all, CocaCola. Originally had cocaine in it, right?
Is there anything more American than Coca-Cola? The fizz, the flavor, the former secret ingredient, cocaine. Coke is basically apple pie in beverage form. And it's not just Americans who are cuckoo for Coke. Invented by a pharmacist in 1886 Georgia, Coca-Cola quickly caught on overseas. It was the World War II GI's drink of choice. Pre-pandemic, Coca-Cola had 500 brands in over 200 countries, making it the best-selling soft drink and one of the most recognizable brands of all time. But there will always be exceptions, and unlike the other entries on the list, for once it has nothing to do with health concerns. Everybody knows that Coke is not good for you. We just decided collectively that we don't care. No, the countries that have outlawed the brand have done so because of what it represents, a symbol of the encroachment of American capitalism. From 1962 to 2011, the U.S. banned sales of Coke to Burma as part of sanctions against the military junta that ruled the country until 2011. It resumed sales in the country in 2012. Today, Coca-Cola is only unavailable in 2 countries with long-term trade embargoes with the U.S. North Korea hasn't allowed Coke since 1950, and the bubbly beverage has been banned in Cuba since Fidel Castro seized supplies in 1962. First the prequels, now Coke. Is there anything that can't be ruined by the federalization of trade taxation? In a twist of irony and lime, Cuba was actually one of the first bottlers of the beverage outside of America. Today, CocaCola has replaced Coke as the country's soft drink of choice, though black market sales abound. After all, it is the birthplace of the Cuba Libre, aka the rum and Coke.
Uh-oh.
M&M's, the delicious melt-in-your-mouth, not-in-your-hand snacks, were originally a collaboration between the Scion sons of the Mars
The candy is gonna be bad, and the chocolate's probably bad.
and Hershey dynasties in 1941. Like Coca-Cola, M&M's gained international fans during World War II, as American soldiers popularized the candy overseas as the chocolate that won't get your trigger finger all sticky. But you won't find the candy in Sweden, where it's banned due to a trademark conflict with a popular national candy that also features lowercase m's as its signature. When Mars introduced the candy to Sweden in 2009, a court ruled its marketing too similar to that of the Norwegian Marabous, which resemble Kit Kats. During World War I, Marabou had moved its manufacturing to its Swedish neighbors, where it received a royal warrant of appointment by the King of Sweden. And here we thought the Swiss were the chocolate snobs. Should you want to check out what the fuss is all about, Marabou's is sold in IKEA stores here in the US. Well, at least it's good to know that M&Ms don't contain any harmful dyes or chlorine residue, right? That's a pretty important victory
Oh, they don't. Wow.
for hard-shelled
Good for them.
chocolate. So what do you think? Which of these banned foods sounds the most delicious? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from
Foreign foods that are banned in the U.S. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's one of those videos. It's interesting stuff. It's good research, but hey, it is what it is, man. We only live once. Eat what you want. I don't know. All right. See you all next.